I'm a big fan of bandwagons and hype trains. If there's a bandwagon in your honor, you're doing something right, and Wentz is doing a lot of things right. Now, a rookie playing well isn't really breaking news anymore, and it seems like some rookie record is broken every year at this point. Most attempts without an interception, most rushing yards in the first 2 minutes of the second quarter, most snaps played wearing the number 17, it doesn't really mean much in my opinion. But Wentz is winning games whilst the man taken before him, Jared Goff, is waiting patiently on the bench. That doesn't tend to happen. As a matter of fact, unless I've missed something, that's never happened at all in the history of the NFL when two quarterbacks have been taken first and second. So it got me thinking, historically speaking, what are the chances Wentz continues to be the better player of the two? Now obviously the draft is no science, so there is no reason why the number 2 pick can't be better than the number 1, as plenty of players have been better than the first overall pick throughout history, but there is a trend here which is maybe best illustrated in the 1999 draft when Peyton Manning was taken first overall and Ryan Leaf was taken second. It's maybe the most extreme example of the second quarterback being worse than the first one, but it's what's true pretty much for every single one of these situations. 8 times quarterbacks have been taken first and second overall, one after the other in the draft, with the first time being in 1954, which I'm going to ignore for most of the video actually, when Bobby Garrett and Lamar McHann were taken in that order. Now this one is a bit of an outlier as both players weren't very good, although McHann, the second overall selection, did play for 10 years, even if it wasn't at a very good level. Both were traded to the Green Bay Packers by the teams that drafted them too at some point, and Garrett wasn't necessarily a worse player than McHann, he had another issue that held him back. See, Garrett stuttered, which severely limited his ability to recall plays, and the Browns actually traded him to the Packers before the Packers knew he had this problem, and he was released after 1 season in the NFL. Although McHann was around longer, his biggest accomplishment was only backing up Bart Starr and Johnny Unitas. After them came Jim Plunkett and Archie Manning in 1971, and although Plunkett undoubtedly had a better career, Archie of course has won the all-time NFL Sons Award. Then in 1993 we have Drew Bledsoe and Rick Myra, where once again the first overall selection did much better, with Bledsoe going to 1 Super Bowl as a starter and making the Pro Bowl 4 times. Myra has been labelled as one of the biggest busts in NFL history, but was on the Raiders Super Bowl team in 2002, but as a third stringer who never played a snap. In 1998, to save the day for Myra, came a 1 and 2 pairing in Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. Peyton Manning did Peyton Manning things and Ryan Leaf fell out of the league pretty quickly. Manning got himself 5 NFL MVP awards, Leaf got himself a criminal record, and alas, Rick Myra was no longer the worst quarterback to be taken second overall after another quarterback was taken first. Then the very next year in 1999 we have an anomaly. Tim Couch and Donovan McNabb swapped places. The number 2 selection had a great career and the number 1 fell out of the league. To give credit here to Couch, he did have injury issues rather than not being very good. He was after all the first and last quarterback to take the Browns to the playoffs since they re-entered the league, and I'm sure we'll get back to him in a few episodes time. Then came Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III in 2012. You know this one. Luck dragged his team without a defense or a running game to an AFC Championship game and led the league in touchdowns, whereas RG3 had a sensational rookie year and fizzled out partially due to injury. Then in 2015 came Winston and Mariota, and it's too early to say anything there, but right now you'd have to give it to Winston, although there's no reason that can't change. Both look promising, neither look flawless. Anyway, let's take a look at the numbers, because that's what we do here. First overall picks have been to 22 Pro Bowls, 6 Super Bowls, have won 5 of those Super Bowls, were named Super Bowl MVP twice, Rookie of the Year twice, and have won 11 miscellaneous awards, and by that I mean things like Comeback Player of the Year, Passing Yards Leader, etc, etc. They have also been All-Pro 10 times and League MVP 5 times, but that was all Peyton Manning. I should also mention one of those Super Bowl wins was by Drew Bledsoe after Tom Brady already took over the starting job. Second overall picks have only been to the Pro Bowl 9 times, have lost 1 Super Bowl, although Myra was in a Super Bowl as well, which they lost, won a Player of the Year award once, 1 miscellaneous award and 1 Rookie of the Year once too. There's quite a difference there, the most notable one being that no second overall quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl, whereas first overall picks have won 5, 4 as starters. I guess the actual point there is that no second overall quarterback taken after a first overall quarterback has ever been on a Super Bowl winning team. So based on history, Wentz's outlook isn't great, or is it? Ignoring those 2 1954 quarterbacks, because the NFL before the 70s was a weird place and they were both just bad, there is only 1 second overall pick that had an incredibly good career and was undoubtedly better than the first overall pick. And that man, of course, was Donovan McNabb, who was also drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. McNabb is the only second overall pick out of these guys to have led his team to a Super Bowl, and the head coach of the Eagles at the time was Andy Reid, and his backup quarterback behind Donovan McNabb in 1999 was a certain Doug Peterson. Peterson has been groomed by Reid and runs the same offense, so history there is pretty promising for Wentz. Here's some more stuff that means nothing but sounds interesting. In 1998, the Eagles had a losing season and the head coach was fired. The new head coach then drafted McNabb second overall. In 2015, the Eagles had a losing season and the head coach was fired. The new head coach then drafted Wentz second overall. You'll have to ignore the fact that head coaches don't tend to make all the draft decisions alone. But here's some history the Eagles missed out on by losing to the Lions. The last time the Eagles started the season 4-0 was in 2004 under McNabb, and that season they went all the way to the Super Bowl. They played in 3 stadiums in their first 4 games: Lincoln Financial Field, which of course is their home, twice, Ford Field of the Lions, and Soldier Field of the Bears. This season they played in 3 different stadiums to start the season: Lincoln Financial Field, Ford Field, and Soldier Field, but they only managed to go 3-1, which is still impressive but doesn't facilitate any coincidences. However, another team did take that step. The Raiders went 4-1, and this is the first time they've gone 4-1 since 2002. When they went to the Super Bowl. On that 2002 Raiders offense was a former first-round pick of the 49ers at receiver who had some experience of playing in the Super Bowl. On this 2016 Raiders offense is a former first-round pick of the 49ers at receiver who also has some experience playing in the Super Bowl. Now in 2002 it was Jerry Rice and this year it's Michael Crabtree, but still, it counts. Also on the Raiders team was Rick Myra, who was taken second overall after Bledsoe, so this wild detour actually comes back around to the original point of the video, although Myra was a third-string guy who never played a snap that season. To be fair, I thought I was going to put all these numbers together and conclude that Wentz has got a tough journey, almost impossible journey statistically, and although numbers-wise that's still kind of true as a second overall pick, the exception to that trend is the exact same reason why it all looks promising for Wentz. Actually, the number one reason it all looks promising is his own ability rather than the people around him, but obviously I'm not taking away from his ability, I'm just saying he's got the right coaches. Anyway, like I said at the beginning, I love a good bandwagon. However, you should know that I was actually an RG3 fan as soon as he committed to Baylor. I was following Tim Tebow before he went to Florida. I've lived in the old England, which is basically the same as coming from New England, so that's why I'm a real Patriots fan. I was also a Pittsburgh Pirates fan before they even were the Steelers. I was a Chicago Bulls fan when Michael Jordan was still in his room crying because he didn't make the high school varsity team, and I still liked them when they couldn't beat the Pistons, who coincidentally I liked before the Bad Boys era, and just in case the Cubs actually win the World Series this year, I've always been a fan of them too. What I'm trying to say is I'm all for the Wentz wagon, and I liked him before he came to the Eagles, honestly.